Hi, my name is Pablo Zabaleta and I welcome you to this video where we will be covering Chapter 11 of the Heizer and Render book, that is Supply Chain Management. This is a topic that is very vast and it has shown us its importance during the last events or the events of the last year regarding the pandemic of COVID-19. The outline is large, really large, and we will have to cover it all. So let's start head on. In the book, they talk about Darden's supply chain. Darden is a chain of restaurants, and they say operations is typically thought of as an execution of the strategy. For us, it is the strategy. In the restaurant business, a winning strategy requires a winning supply chain. Nothing is more important than sourcing and delivering healthy, high-quality food. And there's few other industries where supplier performance is so closely tied to the customers. That's why Darden has implemented supplier qualification, product tracking, independent audits, and just-in-time delivery. And well, you would say, okay, that's the case for Darden. But what is supply chain management? Okay, the definition, as posed in the book, is how to manage the integrated activities of materials acquisition, transformation and intermediate goods and final products, and the distribution to customers. As you can see, Darden was very correct in saying that for them it was critical. They need to get the freshest product and the best. They need to manage them properly, transform them into food that they will serve to their customers. As always, the basic criteria is to reduce expenses and maximize value to the end customer. But if you check out this definition, I would ask you to remember our original definition of the complete operations cycle, ranging from inputs to outputs. How can we achieve this savings and maximization of efficiency? When we treat our suppliers, personnel and distributors as partners. Check this out, as partners. Why? Because yes, we can get sometimes lower costs elsewhere, or we can hire even cheaper people, but in the long run that is a self-defeating strategy. Remember always, if you pay peanuts, all you get is monkeys. Now, what is truly a supply chain? And let's talk for a little bit more, a more modern perspective. It's two or more parties linked by a flow of resources, typically material, information and money, that ultimately fulfills a customer request. And one would say, wait. What are you talking about? Let's put it graphically. It always helps. We have party A and we have party B. Usually we think in terms of party A being the supplier and party B being the customer. So we send over materials and sometimes we get those materials back. Let's say when they are refusing or something went wrong. Or when we are recycling the product at the end of its life. Okay, materials is easy enough to understand. But well, if materials flow, the same happens with money. I mean, party A has to get paid and sometimes they have to refund the customer. But it's not only materials and money, it's also information. What does party B demand? What does party A need to know in order to produce a product that will be acceptable for party B? So, the modern definition of a supply chain is two parties linked by a flow of resources, usually three flows: materials, information, and money. Now, we can also look at supply chains from a process point of view. And here we will have four primary cycles: the customer order cycle, the replenishment cycle, the manufacturing cycle, and the procurement cycle. Cycles usually occur between stages, and they differ in their interactions at each stage. Not all supply chains will have all four cycles. Let me put it graphically. Let's say that we have a customer and a retailer. Well, the customer order cycle links them. Then we have the relationship between the retailer and the distributor. That is the replenishment cycle. Then we have between the distributor and the manufacturer. That's the manufacturing cycle. And finally, we have between the supplier and the manufacturer. That's the procurement cycle. We also have to learn what are we talking about from a software perspective, from a macro process. And we have here, on one hand, what they usually talk about, this SRM. The pen. The SRM. This is the supplier relationship management. This allows us to communicate with our suppliers regarding everything that we need, to let them know what we need and for them to supply our needs. Then we have, on the other hand, the CRM, the customer relationship management. That allows us to communicate and know what happens with our customers, what do they want, how can we attend them better. And internally, we have the internal supply chain management. Usually, here's where we manage all aspects of our operations, or of our internal operations. Of course, these things have gone and developed much further. There is the supply chains operations reference model, which essentially goes from source, make, and deliver to customers from suppliers. Here's the return, and here's all the aspects of planning. We will not be delving deeper into this model, but the Supply Chain Council has already worked very hard and very well to develop this model. It's known as the SCORE model. For the purposes of this video, this is as far as we will go. But in reality, this is something that you would have to spend at least a couple of years getting to know each one of the parts. Our lesson will continue in the next video.